2022 was a historic year for Peninsula Bible. For the first time in more than 2 decades, we acquired additional property at 9575 Radcliffe Avenue, opening up real opportunities for growth here in the heart of Central Kitsap. It was a year when some of our most beloved ministries started to fully function again, like Royal Family Kids Camp, Junior Camp, Halftime, MOPS. And it was a year when we launched new events like Spring Brick, while at the same time celebrating 20 years of Teen Reach Adventure Camp, the longest running track camp in the country. I've got to tell you, I've never been more excited about the team in place, particularly with the additions of Matthew WICK in middle school and Michelle MORSE in women's ministry. They are passionate about people, and I know we're going to see a ton of fruit from their ministry. To my great chagrin, we've not been able to fill the open position for our military and spiritual formation pastor. It's not from a lack of trying. There were 2 candidates, promising candidates, who we flew out for in-depth interviews, but we were unable to hear a sense of calling together. We are trusting God to bring the right person at the right time. Meanwhile, there's continued to be investment in our facilities, whether it's siding or carpeting or elevators, oh my. And you might notice a completely reimagined highway-facing landscape with better signage visibility from the road. That's just a little bit of what's happened in 2022. To hear more, let's go to Pastor Steve.
2022 is coming to a close, and there is a lot to celebrate in PBF Kids. It finally felt like a normal year, and for that we're thankful. Attendance has increased on Sunday morning, now averaging just over 100 kids each week, which is getting close to pre-COVID numbers. And the Sunday morning team of volunteers is as strong as ever. Case in point, early childhood at the 8 o'clock service has reopened. This year, we finally got to do everything that was planned, and more. Some highlights: the Spring Brick Lego event, military date day childcare, summer family activities, and Trunkoville just a few weeks ago. And Junior Camp finally returned. 36 kids, an awesome team of counselors and staff, all focusing on what it means to trust in Jesus. With each of these events, we are blown away at how you, the PBF church family, show up in big ways to serve. Thank you. Thank you also for your financial investment in kids' lives. You are helping them to know, experience, and respond to the love of Jesus, encouraging them to grow in grace and truth. And that's the theme in PBF Kids. The team of volunteers and staff want to come alongside parents in planting seeds of grace and truth in each child. And because of your giving, you are a part of nourishing of those seeds, helping kids grow into young followers of Jesus. Can't wait to see what God does in 2023.
Hey church, David Konjorski here. What a year it has been. This year, PBF Youth has seen some major changes in our staffing. It began with saying goodbye to Charlie Sponsel in June timeframe, who had directed high school ministry for 4 years. And even though we know that God was leading their move, it was tough to say goodbye to Charlie and Kelsey. But God was leading the whole time, so that over the summer, Matthew Wick joined the team, taking over middle school ministry. And Faith Jernigan graduated and became the youth admin. And now I am your youth pastor. Truly, this year has been one of growth. Not only has our team grown, but attendance at the youth group has grown by over 10%. It is always a joy to meet a new parent and to see a new student feel loved and get plugged in here. Still, the reality is that while numbers are important indicators, they aren't the most important aspect of growth. This year, students have grown in service, for example. Youth for Kitsap launched in July. 27 students and 13 leaders served our county at 6 different locations over the course of a 3-day serve conference. It was awesome. Maybe you've noticed PBF Youth has really been stepping up to serve the church. Whether middle schoolers or high school students, they've served at events across the church like Trunkoville, the Women's Vision Night, and on Sunday mornings. I am so proud of our youth group. And this growth really gets at what our focus is going to be over the next year. Our goal is to grow deeper in our relationship with God. I believe it's the only way that this youth group can truly pursue our mission of reaching every student in Kitsap County to know and love Jesus so that they would live for Him. If our students themselves know and love and live for Jesus, we can truly pursue our mission. I so appreciate your prayers and support as this ministry continues to grow in pursuit of God and His mission. Thank you, church.
Hey, my name is Matthew WICK. I came on board as the middle school director in June this summer. My wife and I moved back to Kitsap from Bellingham, where I previously worked as a middle school teacher. Joining the PBF staff team has been a dream. I grew up at this church as a youth and am blessed to get to now serve our youth. This summer, I had the honor of speaking at our middle school refuge camp. Refuge camp had over 70 students. Many of these students recommitted themselves to following Christ at camp. 4 of our students, they got baptized on site at Refuge. It was awesome. Our Wednesday night middle school youth group, it averages around 50 students with 12 leaders. We have been in an in-depth study of John chapter 1 for the last 3 months, and I'm amazed at students' ability to grasp profound theological truths. Several students have grown deeper in their faith this fall, and they've recommitted their lives to Christ. Our Sunday Vine class is a Bible-intensive study for youth where they are discipled in biblical literacy, core theology, and biblical understanding. About 25 students show up at the Vine every Sunday. Lately, we've been studying the one another commands in the New Testament. We've actually been trying to practice the one another's in our class, such as greet one another, pray for one another. It's been amazing to be a part of this ministry so far. I'm prayerfully expectant to see where God leads our middle school ministry next.
Well, hey church, I want to tell you how profound it's been to see the ways our church family has grown and gathered in the last year. Did you know that more than 70 people chose to commit to PBF as members this year? This is a season of growth for us, and it's just been a privilege to meet and start doing life with so many new people. If you're one of those people, then welcome to you. Speaking of growth, thanks to a robust team of leaders, PBF's men's ministry grew immensely this year. In 2022, almost 100 men engaged in 9 different Bible studies. And in October, the men's retreat had one of the largest turnouts ever with 107 men. That was powerful to be a part of. An amazing team of young adult leaders also came together to put on 7 great social events for PBF's young adults this year. And they're hoping to see you at Friendsgiving and at our Christmas Yule party before the year ends. Next, between community groups, connect groups, and support groups, there are 30 micro-communities thriving at PBF. And these groups grew by 82 people this year. Lastly, I want to highlight the incredible team that came together to invest into 12 marriages this year at the marriage course. I'm full of anticipation that 2023 is going to be a year full of life for PBF's community. We're trusting God to raise up more community group hosts. And keep your eyes peeled because there's also a series of exciting events being planned for young men and young women to practice the spiritual disciplines in the next year in a wilderness retreat setting. Speaking of women, one of the most exciting things that happened at PBF in 2022 was the hiring of a new women's ministry director. Let's take a minute to hear from Michelle Morse.
Hey there, PBF. My name is Michelle, and this summer I began serving as your new Women's Ministry Director. I've been blown away by the caliber of women that call PBF home and humbled to serve alongside a great team of women's leaders. I was stunned to see over 100 women at our Women's Vision Night in September. And did you know that almost 150 women are engaged in Bible studies this year? 2023 is looking bright for the women of PBF with events and programs that will encourage you in your walk with Christ. What a privilege to be on the journey with you.
Well, thanks, Michelle. So much is coming back to life at PBF. And after the last 2 years of quarantine, our halftime community has roared back to life. Here's Pastor Jim to share what that's looked like.
Well, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? For almost 2 years, our halftime ministry consisted in digital form. But this September, our halftime team organized a tremendous fall kickoff event with 85 people in attendance, many of whom were brand new to PBF. I'm so happy about that. Enjoying dinner and an evening with Ichabod Kane in the Kitsap Golf and Country Club. The team is now poised to bring even more events in 2023, where the halftime community can gather together, celebrate God's goodness, and encourage one another to live a strong second half of life.
Church, what a gift to be in community with you. There's a lot to celebrate from the last year and even more to look forward to in the next.
The worship of God by His people is a beautiful rhythmic event every Sunday that helps tune hearts to see God and experience Him. This last year, we sang together almost 700 songs as a church body, and that's just in person. PBF has expanded its reach to a growing online community, bringing a high-quality worship experience and gospel preaching to folks all over the world. Your investment in the technology to make this all work, it blesses people that you will never know. These worship services are staffed by a high-capacity volunteer team that has consistently grown in number and in strength. There's so much that happens behind the scenes, in the back of the room, that makes the services heard and seen. A humble gratitude is a phrase that comes to mind. I love being part of a naval community here in Kitsap. It brings folks to PBF that serve with excellence and joy as they grow in their gifts from God, but the Navy also takes them away at the end of their tour here to other ports. I take solace knowing that while they were here, you helped them grow in those gifts, and now they get to bless a community somewhere else in an even greater way. Again, blessing people that you may never get to meet or know. God is a God of beauty and creativity, and we image God when beauty is poured into events like Easter and Christmas and nights of worship. Those community-focused events draw in guests, and each year there's growth, telling more people about Jesus who loves them. Last year, Christmas and Easter drew over 2,600 people to the church. Youth worship is led each week by worship interns who are trained to lead and then train others. And this year, the youth worship director, Reese Weisgerber, headed back to school, but then God brought Mandy Dormeyer to take his place and continue the long line of youth leading other youth. And God is growing talent and gifts here at PBF and growing capacity to reach the world with the gospel. It's an exciting thing to be a part of. So thank you for your investment in the worship ministry here at PBF.
Expansion was exciting, from property purchase to new team members to additional events and activities, bringing refreshed opportunities to meet people and build relationships. Updates and upgrades can be found in a variety of aspects, including communication platforms, from the website to social media to print pieces, all striving to bring clarity and simple interaction. You've also experienced updates and upgrades throughout the campus, from hallways to the log cabin to the new Radcliffe House, all an effort to benefit the end user, both in aesthetics and function. And let me tell you, the campus is alive with many spaces in use throughout the days and evenings. Throughout the week, you'll find family readiness groups, women's Bible studies, support groups, men's breakfast, weddings, event preparation, Thrive, and so much more. Seeing the parking lot full, rooms and spaces in use, and the buzz of voices and laughter is fantastic. The team continued to strengthen and refine with a focus on leadership development. Each member challenged themselves, identified areas of growth, and intentionally invested in self and others. The team continues to come back to the vision, pointing to and seeking God's will and calling.
You know, even though PBF was lacking a pastor of spiritual formation, there were still rich opportunities to grow. Our church hosted Dr. Rick Langer, co-author of the book Winsome Conviction, for an incredible class with over 100 attendees. Dr. Langer then preached the next Sunday, and I've heard from so many people how enriching they found that class to be. The Chick-fil-A wasn't bad either. Then Peninsula Bible hosted Dr. Bruce Wilson, who taught how the mission landscape in the globe has changed over the last 50 years, from the 1970s when 70% of Christians came from European and North American contexts, to now 70% of global Christians coming from China, Africa, and Latin America. God has been faithful to reach unreached peoples. Dr. Wilson challenged us to consider how technologies like Zoom might allow us, every one of us, engineers, medical people, business leaders, to empower our brothers and sisters in Christ all around the globe without even having to get on an airplane. Let me conclude by reminding you of what God is doing, not just here in Bremerton, Silverdale, but around the world. At Easter, there was a special offering taken for the refugees of the Ukraine. You stepped up and gave $35,000 to our ministry partner, Convoy of Hope. This summer, I got to hear from Convoy of Hope folks how brave Ukrainian truck drivers faced almost certain death to get some of that food from our partners, Convoy, back into the country. You literally brought hope to the people of Ukraine. For the first time, PBF had an International Good Friday worship service We had speakers from all over the globe, from Tajikistan to Uganda, from Albania to the Pentagon. It was one for the ages. One of our at-large PBF members and their families is getting helped right now to get on the ground in Central Asia to reach Muslims who've never heard the gospel of Jesus Christ. We've helped another young couple from the Kitsap Peninsula, the Fakers, discern a call to be full-time missionaries in Basque Country. We got to send Pastor Steve and his son down to the Dominican Republic for the grand opening of COTN's I Love Baseball practice field. That's a dream that PBF put a down payment on a decade ago. All of this ministry happens because of God's blessing and your faithfulness. You might wonder sometimes, where does all that budget money go? Well, you've heard just a little bit here in the last few minutes where it's gone. In short, you support an incredible, talented team of ministry leaders who are able to capitalize on opportunities, ministry opportunities, when they present themselves. Ministry leaders whom you allow to lead you as you serve. PBF, we have been blessed abundantly. 2022 was a year where we got to expand our vision for ministry. There's not a lot of churches who can say that. I thank God for ERINA, Steve, David, Grace, Jason, Jim, Kyle, and Greg, for our elders who serve them and the teams that partner together with them, and for you. You've been a bedrock of support. Let's walk into 2023 with generous and loving hearts, with eyes wide open to see the abundant harvest that's before us right here in Kitsap County. And may God transform it and the world with grace and truth. Amen.